I'm glad you're still here with us, and I must say we have a lot in store for you and in our insight. One thing I must point out real quick before we get into the discussion is the fact that Uganda is the largest producer of granular brown sugar in the East African community. That is accounting for about 500,000 or more metric tons annually as of May 2017. Now, following a drought and adversely affected the water levels of Lake Victoria, which ended around 2011, 2012, two misconceptions arose in Kenya's political and industrial circles. Now, Uganda was incapable, according to them, of growing enough raw cane for domestic consumption. Now, and any claim by Uganda that it had a sugar surplus, was based on the fact that Brazilian sugar barons were dumping sugar on the Ugandan and Kenyan markets, which is quite interesting. Now, a more reasoned approach by both governments allowed the development of a verifiable intergovernment database showing production, consumption and export data for Uganda. Now, with me in the studios is our two guests. Right next to me here is Munyamu Ismail. Yes, did I say that correctly? Mm-hmm. And he is a youth leader as well as a member in the association, which is the Kaliro Sugar Outgrowers Association. And at the extreme end there is another guest with us here still from Kaliro Farmers Outgrowers Association. Waako James is one of the executive members of the association, and they're going to be discussing with us, some of these issues and understanding the industry altogether. Many of us just probably read some of the things in the papers when we, on the highways there, we see the cane fields, and we seem to be okay. And also some things that are said from our neighboring. We have those issues. But we'll get into them. Real quick, first of all, gentlemen, you're very welcome.
Thank you, madam.
Yes, I do appreciate you for your time. I will ask the first question. I think I'll first throw it to you.
Welcome.
When we talk about Kaliro Sugar Farmers Outgrowers Association, what are we talking about?
First of all, I have to appreciate having accorded this chance to come to the studio.
Yes.
And air out some of the fears.
Yes.
The association started way back as the factory was in the process of being constructed or built. Mm-hmm. So the association has lasted close to over 7-8 years.
Okay.
Because some of us started growing sugarcane around 2012. Mm-hmm. And of course, initially, the company, since it was introducing a new crop, there were some other arrangements that were offered by the company. Mm-hmm. Of course, they would advance you the tractor to do the bush clearing, the plowing. Maybe if the texture of the soil was bad, they would plow twice, and they would also accord you a tractor for rigging. They would also accord you money, or they would supply the seed cane for you to plant at an agreed price. And recoveries initially, according to the agreements we made, the recoveries of whatever was advanced to a farmer were supposed to be recovered in 3 installments. Initially, the business picked up very well, and people embraced the business. And on the general outlook in the Kaliro district, or generally Busoga, there has been a tremendous improvement in people's welfare.
Okay.
When you move around, you can see the structures, houses coming up. Later alone, the education, we are able to educate our children maybe up to university level, which was not
there before. Okay. So why put up the association to begin with?
Of course, the association, we believe that individually you could not approach the millers or the investor. So for our purpose of coming together was to have a common voice to address our challenges as farmers. Of course, the association is there. We do appreciate that there is some bit of recognition, but we are not fully recognized.
Okay.
The experience I have is that once an association is in place, there must be a memorandum of understanding signed by both parties. This one is still pending. However, but there is cordial relationship because we can talk to them and they listen.
Okay.
But we are still demanding for that.
Okay. Now, real quick, apart from what he has mentioned, what else does the Kaliro Sugar Farmers Outgrowers Association focus on or do for the members?
Well, I think among the basics of any association is unity, and like he has said, having a common race. But as the members of the association, we think this should be a very big platform for us to not only having sugarcane issues, but to go to that far extent of, involving our social lives.
Okay.
Take for instance, if I'm a member, I'm a supplier of the cane, possibly I might have issues with my family, and then this association should be in position to hold me out in such issues. So it's not basically about the cane and then the sugar.
So do you also give like some sort of financial, do you have some sort of arrangement or circle kind of thing?
Yeah, the circle is in place. And maybe let me use this chance to urge more members to join us, because it's a registered circle.
Yes.
And another thing we are also putting in place is a farmers cooperative society, still to enable members access some of the services. And for society, we feel we shall be more empowered to determine our price, even maybe to look for better market elsewhere. Yeah.
Okay. Now, overall, the picture we need to get the people that are watching out there. When we talk about the sugarcane industry, give us a general picture on how business goes, especially now that you're also players in this.
So, well, the industry has been a little bit rudimentary in the past few years, but right now people are trying to invest a lot of money in the industry. And to just take you through the simple process of how we produce cane, sugar cane, you guys see that the factory. In the first place, if you don't have land, you can opt to hire land from a native who has the land, which is a little bit expensive. From hiring, they need to plow. Depending on the nature of the land, you can either plow once or twice. After plowing, then you can do the ridging. After ridging, you plant. After planting, you do the weeding 3 to 4 times, still depending on the nature of the weeds in that particular area. In a period of 18 months, that's the recommended time. That's when the cane is absolutely ready. 18 months to 24, depending on the weather, but at least 18, at most 24. So by that time, you need to think about harvesting the land, harvesting the cane. So in harvesting, you need people to help you out. Because the industry is still a little bit rudimentary. We don't have machinery, we don't have cane harvesters, so we opt for the human resource. People have to come in and cut the cane. After cutting the cane, you need to have a transporter, like a lorry. People have to load the cane on the lorry, and then they take it to the factory. And in the factory, they do the offloading, then they start the milling process, which is a little bit hectic. And yeah, basically that's the overview of how we get the cane. Yeah.
Interesting. Now let us look at, because you've mentioned the fact that we're still lacking in some areas. So are we saying that the industry is not quite commercial yet?
Yeah. To be honest.
Yeah, to be honest, but maybe I would refer there a little bit. Yeah, it could be uneconomical for somebody, maybe with 1 acre or 2. So to benefit, at least we are encouraging people to grow more than 3-5 acres.
Okay.
Because for one, virtually, you may not realize any profits bearing in the costs as outlined.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, the other aspect also is the transport. Of course, most of these companies don't have enough trucks. So there we're going for private transporters whose rates are a little bit exorbitant. But we are in a process of negotiating with the private transporters to lower their charges. And as a farmer loads, he should be paying in the tonnage, or the tonnage delivered at the factory. That is after the lorry has gone over the way bridge to establish the weight. Unlike what is in practice now, it is quite unbelievable, but it is in practice, and we employ it. We are saying the private transporter should lower the rates Of course, we are in negotiation with them, and we hope to conclude this negotiation most
Very
likely
soon.
before the end of this month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. Now let's look at some of the challenges that have come within the industry, especially now you as, you know, the farmers and growers. What are some of those challenges within the sugar industry?
The challenges is that there is surplus sugar cane as we talk now.
Oh, okay.
Of course, bearing in mind in the region, we have about 5 factories or mills, but there isn't any mill which has the capacity to crush the sugar cane that is delivered on daily basis. So there is a surplus of the sugar cane, and that is, of course, it has flooded on the market.
Yeah.
So as farmers, we have some strategies. The short-run strategy is to be allowed to export this sugar cane as a raw material to the neighbors.
Okay.
But of course, the midterm is to attract more investors, and more so, as farmers, we are saying we should be granted permission to put up through the cooperative society or the union to establish a mill basically owned by the farmers to try to curb that surplus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there are two things I want you gentlemen to comment about. One, and there are challenges when it comes to the exportation aspect, even as much as that's what you want. Don't you think there's going to be a challenge there in regards to actually doing that and being able to accomplish that too? You talked about the issue of allowing you through the cooperative to actually own your own. Don't you think you're going to have issues with
Not really. The sector is becoming competitive.
Okay.
And the only way to advance the lives of the farmers is by putting up a very, very, very healthy competition. Take, for instance, if you had only one miller in the whole eastern region, believe me or not, I have to supply cane to that specific miller. But if you have more than 10, it's my choice to take to a person. So it's upon the miller to regulate his price of the cane, and then I take the cane.
See, that's at some point there was a problem there, because some people probably wanted, for example, if they were dealing with you, Ismail, you were dealing with them, not with anyone else.
Yeah, basically, that's the kind of monopoly we want to do away with.
Okay.
Because honestly, growing cane is very expensive.
Yeah.
Averagely, having only 1 acre of cane, we take it average to be 1.2 million for you to be in position to put up an acre. So on the 1.2 million, and such issues are coming out, like the prices are not well regulated, our prices are too low, too low. Just imagine in Kenya, a ton of cane is being bought at a minimum of 170,000. Here in Uganda, the price we are selling our cane is 120. That's very, very annoying to a farmer who is really working hard, to see that the miller is getting the raw material. Yeah, so if we have very many millers around, then we shall be the happiest farmers, and then at least
probably also your very own, that you can put your energy in. So any other challenges within the industry for you?
So the challenges, apart from the transportation, like my colleague has said, we really need to look at the produce, the yield, because the matter of the fact is the land is not increasing, but then the people who are getting more interested in the industry are very many. Day in, day out, people are thinking about growing cane, but we have only one piece of land in Busoga, that's the original land. So people should think about increasing their produce. Like, for instance, on average, an acre of land can give you like 3 trucks. 3 trucks, a farmer can possibly remain with around 40% of the money. So we really want to build on that. If in an acre a person is in position to get more than 5 trucks, that would be very, very good for the farmer. We need to capitalize on the quality, not the quantity of the land, because the land is not increasing at any point in time.
So basically, right now we have a crisis.
The crisis on the excess sugar cane. Of course, you are also asking other challenges. The other challenge is the short term payment, at least for Kaliro, and maybe other factors like Kamuli or Mayuge, payment is not prompt. So we are urging the millers to please
start paying
prompt.
Yeah.
Because if one has to wait for a week or so, that one is a longer period. At least 2 days, 1 day is acceptable. So we are urging the millers also to improve on the payment schedule for those who deliver the cane.
Okay. Yeah. Now, haven't the millers, hasn't it, come back down to you? Because we have had issues with our neighbors there in regards to, our sugar, what is being exported. Hasn't this come back to you as well and affected you?
In terms of export, it has really affected the farmers. Like they were proposing, the majority of the farmers, that in case we export our cane, it would be very good for them in terms of the money they gain from a ton. Like I said, in Kenya it's 170. Yeah, it's not beatable by this 120. Yeah, but still there's been a lot by government, to show this, because government says we shall be in a deficit of the raw materials. And then the farmers are saying we have enough raw materials. So to me, I just probably advise the government, if they really need to ascertain this or they need to confirm this, then they need to carry out a research about this.
They need to get there.
Yes, are the farmers just claiming that they have more than enough cane, or is the government claiming that the farmers don't have enough cane for the millers? And in my opinion, there is more than enough cane.
For the millers and for export?
For the millers and for export. So if the government is to confirm that, then it has to do its own research and build on that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you're some of the point in the business, so you definitely know what we're talking about. Okay, now let us look at the sugar bill. I know that one is something that you're all probably interested in, the 2016 sugar bill. I want to start with you, James. Some of the things you actually appreciate from this bill, and then after that we'll come to what you really do not like about the bill. Some of the things that are pointed out in the bill. Yeah,
that it will be establishing some leadership in the industry. Let's start the apex. If we have the sugar bill or the sugar board, that will be good enough for us, because some of this haggling or hustling will not be there. That will be catering for all our problems, our needs. That one is good for us. And of course, regulating the industry is also good, because we must be law abiding.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I'll opt to take the perspective of revenue. The bill, of course, the way it highlights how the industry is going to be run is okay, in my opinion.
Okay.
And the government will be gaining a lot of money from this if the farmers, if each and every process is at least taxed, or it's known by the government that in the whole process of producing sugar, A, B, C, D, E, we are getting revenue to this tune. That would be a very good thing for the government in case the bill is implemented. Yeah.
And how about some of the things you feel like, no, this is not going to be fair to us?
Of course, the most important is that as farmers, we don't agree the zoning. Because one thing, of course, government is doing, they have liberalized the economy.
Yeah.
So when you liberalize, that is opening up in clear terms.
Yeah.
Then why do you put a ring on somebody that you shouldn't move sugarcane from A to S?
Well, probably that came from the millers themselves.
But of course, as millers, we're also looking at the law of the land. If they have opened up, why should a miller again close people in a ring? So we are looking at the supreme law.
Okay.
And of course, with the liberalized economy, one is at liberty to sell where he feels the service is best.
Very interesting.
To me, still I'll go in the perspective of the youth. The bill has really not catered for the youth, and these are the most potential people in the business, in the industry. And if the bill is passed in a way it is at the moment, then I'm seeing a very, very big risk to our education, to our food security, like in the whole of Eastern Uganda. So these people have not really taken up enough time to look into the whole process of producing the cane. What they based at when they were formulating all those clauses in the bill were the process of having the mature cane and then milling.
Well, they didn't look at
forgetting that we have a lot of people involved in the planting process up to when you get the cane. For instance, apparently you have to use the cane cutters, the cane loaders, and these are basically youths. And on average, someone is getting or earning around 20,000 per day if it's just a loader. Just on average, a loader can get around 20,000 a day. So if this kid or this person, is a school goer, of course, there is no way I can convince him to stay in school when he's really getting such an amount. So at least if the regulations were to that tune, that probably people of a certain category should not be, involved in such a business because they have a duty to do in school.
Oh,
that would make, that would make a lot of sense.
Interesting. So now, speaking of that fact, because you're a youth leader, I know our time is running up, but I know you're going to be quick on this. How have you been able to handle some of the things that come with, like this is a challenge, for example, that you're talking about. How have you been able to deal with the youth or the young people within this particular field?
Yeah, like I say, this is something healthy for them to join, or for those ones who are currently in the business to remain in the business. But again, we caution them. We caution them to be responsible with the money. It's upon us to direct them how best can you utilize this money you're getting. To them, 20,000 is very big. You get, and someone when he's having around 20,000 per day, the best he can think about is probably getting very many wives and all that. To us,
so you go on with young people, yeah?
Yes. So to us,
yes,
we are trying to tell them how best they can utilize this money. With your 20,000, you can do saving, you can do a lot of things.
So you're encouraging them with the circle that you have to actually save and plan for their future.
Yes.
Interesting. So are they quite active even then? Are they involved, active, within? Because we've all talked about the fact that so many young people are not really keen on involving themselves in the agriculture generally, or maybe sugarcane is a different story.
Sugarcane, I must say, is a different story.
Okay.
It has taken in a lot of use, just as you have said. But of course, as the older people, we discourage the school-going age. Yeah. And in some companies, there are some adverts being run over the radios, prohibiting people below or children below 18 years to get involved in that labor. Of course, even according to some labor laws, of course, if we employ juveniles, that is, we are committing a crime. There are some international labor laws which prohibit children being involved in the
it's hard to monitor them.
No, it's not hard. Because at least in the villages where we stay, we know each other. We know even the children who belongs to who. So once the regulation is put in place, just as I said, we feel it will be easier to
have something to do.
Yeah, and of course what we are looking at, if we let them go the way they are going, we may lose out. Like if they don't go to school, we may not have anybody maybe able to come here like I've come.
Okay.
So we must encourage the youth to remain in school.
Yes, I think we're overrunning, but real quick, in terms of the environment that we have for investment, for for looking at the buyers and farmers, what type of environment do you see we actually have for this sort of thing? Yeah,
basically, the government has really done well in terms of attracting the investors, lowering the minimum amount of money an investor can have before coming here. That's really good on their side. But again, on the side of the local investors, it's a little bit challenging. Because of some of the stringent laws around, beginning up something.
It's harder as a local investor.
Yeah, it's harder for the locals more than the foreigners, which in my opinion is really, really not doing well for us.
Indeed.
Perhaps do you allow me to use the local language because my people there?
It's a free country.
Of course, Abalamoji, nti tukole, let us not give up, because the problems that are here today, they are not going to, I mean, ebizibu ebintu biza kuba permanent, biza kuzwaho, and we are addressing them. As long as we are able to talk okutumula n'abamirazi tusuubira nti ekintu kiza kutereera and kubasaba nti tujoininge oba twingire omusaako, twingire omu cooperative societies to be empowered. That is the only way to go.
Okay. A last remarks from you as well.
Yeah, well, my appeal is to the government, to most stakeholders who are managing, social lives of the youth, because I'm in the youth perspective. It's still our responsibility to guide these people, how best they can benefit from such a business. Like I said, it's very healthy for them.
Yes.
So I call upon CSOs, government agencies, to come around and give the guidance to the youth. That would be very good to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you so much, gentlemen. At the extreme end there is a gentleman who is one of the executive members of Kaliro Sugar Outgrowers Association, that is Waako James, and right next to me here is Munyamu Ismail. Did I say that correctly?
Absolutely.
Yes, he's the youth leader and member in the association, and I must say there's a number of things they pointed out, some of the grievances, some of the things that probably need to be dealt with, and we've come to understand how some of these things are working. And I know we'll get more time because it's a very huge discussion. We're only trying to pick on little bits and bits here and there. But thank you so much for watching. My time has run out. Rowena Kajumba is my name. From me and the entire business team, we wish you a lovely day. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.